Hello and welcome to another game stuff video. It has been a long time. It's January, I believe, so we do have quite a lot to cover. I suspect this is going to be a rather long video. So I got some coffee. Grab yourself some, and let's go through some things that I believe are worth mentioning. And we'll start with Destiny 2 content vaulting, which is something that I am extremely against because literally players are getting content that they paid for removed from the game. They can no longer access it. Now the game is doing this, Bungie is doing this because they're limited on the amount of content that they can have out or something along those lines. And to be honest, that seems reasonable. If they want to release new content, they have to get rid of some old content. However, the fact that they don't have a way for people to still reach that content is unacceptable, really. And also means that people purchasing the game now won't be able to play the entirety of the game. And this is not the first time that Destiny 2 vaults content. This has been going on for quite a while and will keep going on, I suspect. I think even with the new hardware, so with the new generation of consoles, this is still going to be a problem. I wish that wasn't the case, because Destiny 2 it's a great game. But features like this puts people like me off and upset some of the players that actually play the game, or players that every now and then return to the game. Yeah, I think as gamers this is just not good. I mean, even a crappy game like Naruto that I played, Naruto Online, pay for a character, give it a few months or a couple of years, the character is absolutely useless, but I can still play with him or her if I wish to do so. So things like this are just bad in general. I think this one back in February, the amount of content that was vaulted was worth around $60. You know, that is a lot. And there were some interesting parts of the game, parts of the story that were removed in respect to certain characters. So sad for anyone that plays the game or anybody that wants to play the game and go through old content. You just can't play all the content. Sadly, that's how it is. Next, we move on to some controversy that we had earlier on in a year with a game called Marth is Dead, where some people thought the game was censored in how should I say it? They think Sony censoring the game was a good thing, and in fact some people were pushing for more censorship of the game. Now the game describes itself as a dark first-person psychological thriller. So it's not even a horror game, and it isn't really. It's not really scary. It is just a game that has some rather, not pleasing moments, like skinning people's face and things like that, which people find uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, it's just a game. It is somebody's artwork, as long as it's labeled correctly, say as mature and clear warnings, then I don't think anybody's got anything to complain. For Sony and PlayStation to come in and censor the game on their platforms, for me personally, as a fan of Sony for many years, it just keeps taking Sony further down my liking, which, yeah, I don't like them as much these days, not even close to as much as I liked them several years ago. And there will be even more reasons in this video. So yeah, the game itself has been well received. It's not an amazing game, but it's a good game. And for people that are fans of this type of games, then by all means, I mean, set in 1944, it seems to have an interesting story from what I've seen. I've watched some gameplay on Twitch. Nothing that's put me off, to be entirely honest. I can understand some people would find some scenes upsetting, but like I said, just put warnings on the game. The PC and Xbox versions are not censored. So if you want to play the actual game as the developers intended it to be, then you'll have to play it on PC or Xbox. Because Sony just, yeah, keeps going down that rabbit hole of censorship. This is the actual site for the devs, I believe, Wired Productions, yeah, or devs or publisher. Um, cool. I think I've got this added to my wish list. I'm not too sure. Because I don't like horror games and scare jump type of games, but this is different. This I don't have an issue with. So yeah, like I said, people like different things. If you don't like it, don't play it. I think asking for censorship, it's a rabbit hole that you don't really want to start going down. And earlier on this year, we also had probably the biggest release of 2022 with Elden Ring. As you can see on a simple Google search, great results by the critics and also great by the community themselves. And it is an amazing game. Of course, there were the usual complaints because this is a game from software, and these games, you know, the developers of Dark Souls, Bloodborne, and Sekiro, and a few others. And these games tend to be difficult. And Elden Ring is a difficult game for a lot of players, especially players like me. But it is actually nowhere near as difficult as the previous games. It has got far more ways of you trying to grind areas or increase skills and such things that will make your approach to the game different from previous entries or from software. And of course, the usual complainers saying that the game are too hard, asking for an easy mode, da 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 da. Which honestly, I don't care. I'm not a fan of these games. However, I'm not asking for an easy mode. I don't care. If I want to play it, I play it, and I know it's difficult. If I don't want to play it, I don't play it. I don't have to complain about it. It is a great game. The funny thing is, and I don't actually have it pulled up, we had some of the people complaining about the game being difficult and about certain aspects of the game include developers from some AAA titles, which is quite funny, which is really funny. I think they were more jealous than anything because Elden Ring outsold their games, and people were giving Elden Ring better reviews than their games. I think that's some of the reasons there. I think just people but hurt, really, is probably the best way to put it. And talking about Elden Ring, also very interesting. Now, we have spoken about Call of Duty Vanguard not being a great Call of Duty, but still, this, Call of Duty is one of those titles that just sells every year regardless of quality. So the fact that Elden Ring, in around 2 months-ish, has outsold Call of Duty Vanguard, that was released back in November last year, certainly speaks for itself, and it is good to see. Good to see, at least for two reasons. One, that Elden Ring is doing well, which deserves to be, because it's a great game. And two, it will hopefully make Call of Duty devs, which they have already rethought, they've thought about the strategy going forward. But this should emphasize that they need to do something with their games. People are getting finally tired of these entries every single year without actual improvements, and often the games actually go backwards rather than improve. I believe this year, and again I believe I've mentioned this before in previous videos and streams and that, the Call of Duty this year will still be released as planned, I believe, but then we should have a year break from the franchise, which should do Call of Duty good, assuming that they use that actual time to develop a good title. There's no point having an extra year to develop a game if you're not really going to do work on it, not offer your fan base what they actually like about your games. Then that's not going to really help your title. You're just going to waste a year and release a crappy game. So let's hope for the best, because it will be nice to play a good Call of Duty again. Moving on to, well, good old CyberPunk 2077. Well, this game has been on the news for quite a while. Disastrous launch, but earlier this year we've seen patch 1.5, which many would argue, myself included, that this is how the game should have released. So why is that? 2 years later? 2 more years of development, effectively, that's what the game would have needed. And I'm not going to go through all the patch notes and everything that changed, because it's a lot. This was not an overhaul, but it was a major update. Most people were happy. It fixed a lot of things that players have been complaining about. I believe it added some new things as well. So there's quite a few videos on YouTube from very good YouTubers summarizing the changes and giving their feedback on it. They've actually played the game. I haven't, so I'm just going to leave it at that. And about a month after or so, they've released patch 1.52, which again changed quite a few things, and it is being well received, but obviously the reputation of the game is forever tarnished. I hope they keep developing the game. I hope we even see some sort of multiplayer for this at some point, and they'll have to properly build hype for that if they really want to go in that direction. Make this an awesome game, get some ads out, maybe some discounts out, get it out on GOG, whatever, extremely cheap or something, and then launch a multiplayer. I think I could see this game succeed, but I don't believe CyberPunk will do that. I don't believe they want to put such investment into the game, especially as they move on to the next Witcher game. I believe probably by the end of the year, most of the teams will be focusing on the new Witcher game rather than updating or getting new content for CyberPunk 2077. And new content expansions is something that people are still very iffy about. So we'll have to really wait and see what's going to happen. Enabled aggressive crowds on Stadia. This thing still exists? Oh goodness. Okay, so let's go on for another sort of disaster. Gran Turismo 7. Yes. Definitely bringing in angry voices, that's for sure, as gaming news put it there. Gran Turismo 7 did come out earlier this year for a bit of a shitfest of a launch. Now the game has got great reviews by critics. I don't know if I go back here. Some Metascore 87. Even if I go back, did I go through the search? So reviewers loved it. Great game. And at its core, it is a great game. But they managed to piss off the fans, and that is obviously going to hurt them. As you can see here, 87 on Metacritic from the critics, and user score 2.0. Now this is a huge difference. So obviously the game is not a 2.0 by any stretch of imagination. 7, 8 for sure, maybe even higher as the critics rated it. The problem, however, is that the game kind of got review bombed, and in fairness, it is well deserved, because the critics had access to a game that is not what the public added. The game was released to the critics for reviews with good prizes on events and without the cash shop. That's two things that reviewers will definitely have mentioned it. Even the big channels, IGN and all that, all these gaming outlets, they wouldn't give it a bad score for that, and nor should the game necessarily deserve a bad score because of having the cash shop and such things. But it will be mentioned, and that will put some players off. The fact that Sony and Polyphony Digital allowed a different version of the game to be reviewed by critics, allowed those reviews to be published, and then release the game to the general public, launching pretty much a day one patch where it removed it downgraded a lot of the prizes that players will earn, so something entirely different from what the reviewers add, and also adding the cash shop, where people could of course buy with real money the credits they were no longer getting from rewards within the actual game. Of course, people are pissed off, and rightfully so. There are other things to add to it, like even comparing prices of the same cars in Gran Turismo Sport and GT7. There are huge differences in the prices of these cars. So it is quite clear what Polyphony was trying to do there, which is milk the players. Yeah, and turns out we don't like that. Now, I am a huge fan of Gran Turismo. I've been for many years, since Gran Turismo 2. And I was looking forward to Gran Turismo 7, having skipped Gran Turismo Sport, because it was online and I didn't really have, nor still have, a good connection to play online games. So the lack of a single player, for me, it was a no-no. There were other issues back then, like the wheel that I had from PlayStation 3 was not compatible for the PlayStation 4, which was the Dragon Force GT, so that initially already put me off from getting PlayStation 4 and Gran Turismo Sport anyway. So quite a few things there that's really annoyed me, and I skipped that generation altogether. And now was looking for a PlayStation, you know, the mythical PlayStation 5, which you can still see anywhere. And Gran Turismo 7 was literally the game that I was interested on. Yes, they've got Horizon Forbidden West and many other great games for sure, yes, but I don't have that much interest in them. I haven't played a racing game since Forza 5. Oh yes, that's Forza 5 on Xbox One. And I was waiting for Gran Turismo 7, and I'm not really looking forward to it anymore. I have very little interest in getting this game. Hopefully later on, when the game is dead cheap or is on Plus membership or whatever thing, I can get it for not necessarily peanuts, but I can get it at an extremely reduced price. Then maybe I'll consider getting it. But for now, I'm not even looking for a PlayStation 5 most of the time. It's mostly off my mind, and I have very little interest in Gran Turismo 7. And like me, I'm sure I can't be the only person. So, sorry Polyphony, but you guys have messed up. They have since released some patches that have increased some rewards and done da-da-da-da. But again, the damage is done. The damage is done. Also worth mentioning, definitely worth mentioning, is that when they released the patch for this game, it took the game out for around nearly 2 days, on some players certainly reporting that they couldn't play for 2 days. And that's weird, because Gran Turismo is supposed to be, you know, it's got an offline mode, a single player mode. Again, DRM issues. Why does the game require to be connected to the servers for you to play the game? This is bad. It's crap. You know, you're playing the game, there's internet goes down for whatever reason, or you're playing with somebody else's connection wireless, like I often do here at home. Their connection goes down, or they're using it, you're getting disconnects, you can't even keep playing your single player because now the game is offline and it kicks you out. Why are these stupid things still happening? And it kind of went away for a while, all these DRM issues, and now they seem to be coming back, as Xbox recently found out as well, which I don't think I'm even gonna cover in this video. So that obviously pissed off a lot of people, and we can see some of the interesting reviews here from some lovely people. I think I don't have them on screen anymore. They had a lot of 0-0, which obviously, like I said, the game is not a 0, the game is not a 1, it's not a 2, it's not a 3, it's not a 4, it's definitely not a 5. But that's what you can get when people piss off. Let's see, offline, in offline gameplay, yes, people complaining that they can't do that. Why are you asking me to log in? I'm not logging in. What's a big scam? The gaming industry. Yeah, the gaming industry is a big scam, that's for sure. Paying top dollar to get a game where you need a system to play and still need a subscription to play online, and still they make a microtransaction, always online, and credits nerf. Valid points. Completely valid points. Force refunds. Already purchased the game in a... I'm very disappointed. Yes, you are. I think the one, yes, this one I clicked, I think was the user review, is it? Yeah, it was this one. A few days ago, I was really happy with this game. Cool driving mechanics, nice graphics. You can earn some money without any problem when you will grind some races, which is fine. That's what we've done for years, and it's okay. The grind up to a point is kind of needed because nobody's expecting to win a few races and buy a Ferrari 458 or whatever. We understand that. Anyway, moving on. That was a few days ago. Yes, indeed. Today is the second day when my offline game is not working because server died. And to kill the mood even more, they nerfed the race credits that you earn. I don't have time for endless grind, and I will not pay you for the cards with real money, my dear Polyphony Digital. For me, this game, or rather series, just committed suicide. Good luck. I'm getting off the train. Yeah, indeed, I can understand that. I hear from Wisey, wherever he goes, screw this game. I have been a GT fan since I was a toddler and I could not be more disappointed. It's unfinished, barely improved on GT Sport, and they've just added a patch making race rewards so low that it's impossible to get rare cars without either grinding 12 plus hours a day or spending hundreds, and I mean hundreds of pounds to get rare cars. And this game says it's encouraging, I should have expanded that. Encouraging car collections. How? Yes, exactly. If you wanted a complete car collection in 1 year, be ready to fork out thousands of pounds for your PlayStation overlords. Genshin Impact and EA look at this game and actively take notes on how they can be better at shilling microtransactions. That's a good final line. I like that. Here from Backfish, another zero review. Of course, it's not correspondent of the actual game, but people are pissed, and people are pissed. They will go to extremes. Could have been so good, but the game is pretty much useless without internet connection, and the prize money system is totally broken. Even if you are willing to spend real money on your full price game, the prices for that are ridiculous. 20 euros for 2 million credits, and some of the most expensive cards are about 10 million credits. And unfortunately, instead of fixing some of the issues everyone is complaining about, they choose to lower the earnings on most of the races even more. Unless there are major changes in the company of the game, I will not recommend it. Yeah. And you can see now a lot more that I'm not going to go through all of them, obviously, but you can see why the game has got a 2, and I think was 1.6, 1.7 at one point. I definitely saw 1.7, but I think it was lower than that. But considering how long it's been, I mean, this was released back in March 4th, and we are now towards the end of May, and it has barely moved up. So yeah, of course, people are still playing the game. A lot of people are loving the game. Like I said, it is a good game. It's even like some of these zero ratings mentioned. It's got great mechanics. It looks great. Gran Turismo has been great for many years. Yes, it probably is not a huge improvement from Gran Turismo Sport, but it's still a great game. However, you piss off the people, and your game will never be what it was once you annoy your user base, your player base. So rest in peace, Gran Turismo. We'll move on to... What is this about? Maybe I should have stayed at the top. Oh yeah, we're staying with Sony then. New PlayStation Plus has been reviewed. So this is Sony's attempts in a way to match what Xbox is doing with the Game Pass. It is okay. It's not bad. It is you're not getting the value that you get with Game Pass. Definitely not. You know, PlayStation is not going to release their first party games straight into the PlayStation Plus subscription, so forget about that. There are reasons why they do that. I can understand them completely. So that's something that Game Pass still has an advantage on Sony. However, this is good. There are 3 different tiers, and they're kind of merging together the old PlayStation Now, which It was not a bad service, but Sony, like Sony did with the Vita and other products, they just did, and it just fucked up. Yeah, let's put it that way, so everybody understands. So they're kind of merging those two services, the existing or old PlayStation Plus. Well, still existing, we've still made this hasn't come to place just yet. It comes in June. So they're merging the current PS Plus with the current slash old PS Now, because this system is becoming defunct, and that's kind of cool. Reset there. I'm definitely not going to mention that. There are a few things that we do now since this was released, between the free tiers, PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. This was released pretty recently, this catalog. This article is from techadvisor.com, by the way. And we kind of know at least some of the titles to expect with the new membership. I believe so. Let's read a bit here. If you subscribe to PlayStation Plus Extra or PlayStation Plus Premium, you'll get access to the following confirmed titles. Yeah. So with these types of subscriptions, which the other one I think is called Essentials, which is the same as the current PlayStation Plus, effectively. So you get your monthly games and that, but you don't get this catalog of games. If you pay extra for the extra or for the premium subscriptions, then this is what you're looking at having available to you. Of course, this will be expanded on. Good thing to notice here, there are a few Ubisoft titles here, which is kind of interesting. And don't want to read too much into it, so I'll just call it interesting. So let's go through the titles. In terms of PS4 and PS5 titles, you're looking at Alienation, Ashen, Batman Arkham Knight, Bloodborne, Celeste, City Skylines, Concrete Genie, Control, Ultimate Edition, Days Gone, Dead Cells, Demon Souls, Death Stranding, and the Director's Cut version as well, Dead Nation Apocalypse Edition, Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, God of War, Gravity Rush 2, a lot of AAA games, a lot of great titles, a lot of content. You can see on there Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, and more Uncharted titles, The Last of Us games. The Last of Us 2 is not there, as you can probably see there. There are other games like the Forbidden West, Horizon. Not sure about the first Horizon here, Horizon Zero Dawn. So obviously certain games will not be there because Sony still believes that those games can still be monetized. They're worth keeping at the current prices, at normal reductions over time, and eventually they'll be included in the subscription. I have no doubt about that. Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm, yay! So this is good. This is amazing value for people who've been playing Xbox for years, never had a chance to play PlayStation, never bought a PlayStation for whatever reason. This is a time to do it. Well, at least in a PlayStation sense. In real life terms, it's about time to do it because economy, is pretty much going to recession everywhere. So money is becoming an issue for most people. However, if you can afford a PlayStation and can get a PlayStation 5, this is great value. Even a PlayStation 4, you're getting a shit ton of value here. So yes, great. For people who have been playing PlayStation for years, have played some or maybe even most of these titles, this isn't a great subscription. I can understand that. So there is pros and cons with this, but overall it is not. It's a very good start. I will call it that, and then we'll see how Sony PlayStation expands upon this over time. Now there are some other things like the classic games catalog, which will be increased over time. Those subscribed to the maximum tier, to the highest tier, the premium, will have access to games like Ape Escape, Odd Shots Golf, IQ Intelligence Cube, Jumping Flash, so some old PlayStation and PSP titles. Now going through these games here, Tekken 2, oh gosh, Worms Wordplay and Worms Armageddon, great stuff. I thought they redid this game. I thought I played this game on Xbox One. Was that a remaster, remake or something? I don't know. Now on this title here you can see here a Siphon Filter. Now I've never played this game, but the developers of this game have very recently, maybe as far as a couple of days ago or so, or as recent as a couple of days ago, depending when this video goes up, that this game will have trophies, which is amazing. Now, I'm not expecting that for the other games and other games that eventually get added to this catalog. I mean, it would be great if they did. So we'll see if any other devs do go through the work, and I hope if they do go through the work, like Siphon Filter, I hope they get some money out of it. I hope it makes it worthwhile, because I don't want developers to be doing stuff for free, especially good things for free. I used to be a trophy hunter for a fair bit, and I'm happy to see trophies. I don't really chase them anymore these days when I get to play a PlayStation game, because I just don't have the time. But it is really good to see some classic titles being given the trophy support. So really great nugget there, which is awesome stuff. Some PS1 and PSP titles on top of those, some PS3 titles. And the problem with this game is that they can only be streamed. It's 2022, and the Sony engineers have not yet made a way to even make PlayStation 5 run PS3. And they understand there was issues with the architecture back in the era of Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, especially with the PlayStation 3, which I still have a couple of them. Great consoles they were and still are for many titles. But come on, Sony, make these somehow emulated PlayStation 4. Okay, that console is now a generation behind. Fair enough. Get that working on a PlayStation 5, because I don't see myself, just like many players don't see themselves, streaming a lot of these games. It is just not going to work. So makers, there's great titles here, absolutely great titles. Devil May Cry HD Collection, I actually have this for the PlayStation 3 sitting on a shelf, and don't know when I'm going to play that, if ever. Fear, Infamous and Infamous 2, I mean, honestly, it's just amazing games here. But being streamed, that's not great. We got to be able to download these titles and play them. You don't want to invest the money on it, I get it, but what you must also get from us is that we don't want these games to just be streamed. Yeah, it will work for some people, I'm not saying not, but the sentiments that I'm seeing are pretty much, like myself. We don't want to we don't want to stream these games. It's just not going to work like that. Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2, cool stuff. And there is also a handful of classic game PS4 remasters available as part of the top end tier. So some of these: Escape 2, Jack 2, Jack 3, Jack and Daxter. Some interesting titles there for sure. Bioshock Remastered. So interesting stuff going on. And lastly, the PlayStation Plus Premium tier offers limited time game trials for the following titles at launch. And this is part of something that I'm going to touch on later on, I believe. So got Cyberpunk 2077, Farming Simulator. So Cyberpunk on PS5, and we all know why. Farming Simulator 22, PS4, PS5, Horizon Forbidden West 4 and 5, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. We will touch on this game later on as well. PS4 and 5, Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection, PS5, WWE 2K22 on both 4 and 5. I believe these will be at least 2 hours long, judging by an article that I read, and we will cover later on. And then this is like the interesting part, Ubisoft Plus Classic Collection. There's also the Ubisoft Plus Classics Collection, which is set to launch with 27 popular Ubisoft titles, with plans to up that number to 50 by the end of 2022, so the end of this year. And this is only launching in June, so we'll give or take 6-7 months, and we'll be up to 50 titles. That's great. So yeah, it will be freely available to PlayStation Plus Extra and PlayStation Plus Premium subscribers. And you can see by yourself some really good titles here. Assassin's Creed Valhalla starting at the top. For Honor, The Crew 2, Child of Light, Far Cry 3, Blood Dragon. Amazing game. Far Cry 3 Remastered, which is, Far Cry 3 and 4, they're just the normal Ubisoft games type of thing. So is Blood Dragon, but Blood Dragon just puts a different spin on the game, uh, making it great. So obviously I played it on a PlayStation 3 because I skipped the PlayStation 4, as you guys know. But definitely out of those games, that's the one I would love the most. Legendary Fishing, probably not my type of game. South Park, Risk Urban Assault, Star Trek Bridge Crew, Steep, The Crew 1. Why didn't they put The Crew 2 and 1 together? I didn't get it. Are they putting it by order of importance, I guess, or something like that? Or bigger titles, bigger AAA? Well, they're all mostly AAA anyways. It is Ubisoft, obviously. It's a bit weird how they organize this. That's a PSVita title, actually. Bridge Crew, Star Trek. That's the only one there. Alright, cool. The Division, great stuff there. Trials of the Blood Dragon game, Trials Rising, Valiant Hearts, Watch Dogs, the PS4, Werewolves Within, and Zombie. So that's pretty good. It's pretty good with more games coming. So this, it's some sort of interesting partnership going on there. It looks like. And will PlayStation Plus get new games on release day? No, that's not going to happen. So yeah, good stuff, interesting stuff to say the least, and very good value for anybody who's been thinking about moving on to the PlayStation ecosystem and try out some games. I will move on to the next article, which is about, yes, Grand Theft Auto 5. Now, as we know, Rockstar Games, and is it 2K the publisher? I can't even know. Getting all mixed up here these days. They don't care about Red Dead Online, so they launched Red Dead Redemption 2, they made the money off it, launched Red Dead Online, launched minor content, and now everyone is leaving the game because there's no content, so now I don't see them bringing out much more content for it. But of course, Grand Theft Auto 5 is that cow that they can keep on milking. So, what are they doing this time? Yes, they are giving people a subscription. Yay! Who didn't see that coming? Now, in my view, this is, as the game gets a release on a new gen, Xbox Series XS and PlayStation 5, this is like their last attempt. So selling the game full title on the current game, so get that money from the players that will once again buy the title, because I don't think there'll be many people buying the game for the first time. I could be wrong. And on top of that, it's like, okay, we have resold this game for how many years and on many generations. Okay, let's try and get a subscription in there so we can get that money before the game eventually dies, because all games will eventually die, and GTA5 has had a great and long run, but time surely will eventually come to an end. So they're offering this subscription, which doesn't give you an awful lot. It should be priced at $5.99, so we can suspect in UK it's going to probably be £5 or something around those lines. It doesn't offer, as you would expect, it doesn't offer anything worthwhile. 500,000 in-game credits to your Maze Bank, some liveries, some da-di-da-di-da, blah blah, money grabbing, para-ta-ta, nothing worth damn shit. So, yeah, this hasn't been received greatly from YouTubers and the community in general, of course. But, Rockstar doesn't care because they know some people will buy it. So why listen to the community? Who cares if they're pissed off, as long as it's selling? Now, I do believe that all this is gonna hurt Rockstar in the long run, and it's not gonna take long for us to see that. This is pretty much the only game that they're supporting. There's nothing else out there. There are other titles, IPs that they own. They're not working on anything that we know, because they're making all the money off Grand Theft Auto 5. This is not going to last forever. A lot of players have been living and complaining about some of the stuff that you can get now online. Is all this futuristic crap that does not sit well within the Grand Theft Auto universe, especially the kind of games that we've had. If they were to do a game Kind of like we got Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. It's like a weird fantasy type within the Borderlands universe. Then it kind of works having the type of enemies that you got there, which is all kind of like the stuff that Grand Theft Auto 5 is doing with these editions online, with these microtransactions and cash shop stuff. So kind of works for Borderlands, for Tiny Tina's Borderlands. On Grand Theft Auto 5, it's not being as received as well because it just doesn't fit. There's hovercrafts and whatever weird shite, literally, that I've seen players use. No, that's crap. Yeah, of course, some players will pay for it because some people will pay for anything. It's like me on Naruto, I will pay for almost anything in some cases. But that doesn't mean that players like it. So yeah, I think the Grand Theft Auto 5 time is, approaching its end. It will still have a long run. It is still a good game for anybody that hasn't played it. For me, I've done the single player many years ago, and I've got no intentions of returning since we're never going to see a single player expansion, and that's the only thing that I would be interested on. Well done, Rockstar. You're really counting up the fans. No, you're counting down the fans at this point. Let's move on, because yeah, Rockstar used to be one of the companies that gamers loved, and like many others out there, they found their way of making extra money from players, and with that goes the goodwill of the player base, because that's all they focus on. And instead of releasing good content, they just want to release what makes them the most profit. I can understand companies doing that. Companies have to make profit. I say this all the time. But you also got to take into account your player base, your customers. Because once those customers go, it's hard to get them back. But Rockstar, like many others, seem to be focused on grabbing everything they can from the customers they have now. Well, the future will deal with it when we get there. Yeah, that might not work so well. As we all know, the acquisition time is still going on quite strong, and part of that is a bit of a weird purchase in my view. Sony PlayStation has acquired Haven Studios. This is a studio with nothing to their name. Now they do have some good names, some great names and experienced staff, sure, yeah, but they haven't really brought anything for us to really see. I mean, no trailers, no games. The game is the development studio is about a year old or something along those lines, and the community seem to think this is a studio that's being brought in to help with this new direction of Sony of making live services. This worries me because, as we've seen in recent years, when it comes to live service games, you normally either succeed or you fail, and most games are failing. Because for the live service to succeed, there are a lot of things that must be in the game at start and must be coming to the game. They gotta be complex games if you're gonna do them right, and a lot of companies are failing. Sony, we all know Sony PlayStation for having great single player story-driven games. That's what they're good at. That's what they've been making for decades. They're awesome at it. Arguably, they're the best at it. I hope that this direction that they want to take with live services, because everyone wants to make all the money, so they want games that will keep making the money rather than games that will make money at selling point, but then will not make them money long run. That's why they want a live service. But there are a lot of differences there, and one of them is simply you work on a game title, single player, story driven, whatever. You work on that game. The game is complete, it's ready to go, you ship it, people love it. If you've done a great job, you can move on to developing the next game. You do a live service game, you gotta release the game, people gotta love it, and then you gotta keep content coming. Otherwise, the players will go, and getting players back is near on impossible. And then you've got studio, at least part of the studio tied to that project, trying to make content or trying to correct the game if it's not been released in good state, instead of having the studio working on another title that will get you money down the line. So if Sony doesn't get this right, this is going to hurt them big time in the future, and that's something that Sony cannot afford to do, because I see Microsoft in the future with the acquisitions that Microsoft has done. I think in the long run, which is the game that Phil Spencer is playing, Xbox has got more than one hand on Sony. So if Sony go into live services and they screw up, the next generation of consoles, might see us in a very, very different position, market-wise. So I'm a little concerned. Happy for Avon Studios, and I hope they do great projects for Sony, of course, and for us gamers. Well, Sony, I don't care. Just make good games for us. That would be great. Maybe they'll work alongside Bungie or something like that. We don't know. It's honestly, your guess is probably better than mine. And we'll move on to great game, well received, kind of a Borderlands spin-off, and I had just mentioned this title, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Now, the game itself is a great game. I don't know if I've got anything else open on that. Probably not, no. But Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, it's a game that actually I'm very interested on. Basically sees Tiny Tina as a game master in a Dragons and Dungeons style tabletop game. And she's your game master. You're in the game doing things for them, pretty cool. Awesome, plays well, works great. Most of the players have loved the game. Fantastic, that's what we like. But they've had some problems with the DLC being released. I think up to this point, 1 or 2 DLCs have been released, and they're nothing major. The players are not happy. So whilst at the start, people loved the game and were very happy with the game, many were skeptical, like myself, until the game released, because it's within the 2020s. It's too many game failures, so we got to be skeptical. I'm sorry, but it's just how the industry has made us think. But the game released to good critical acclaim, so fantastic. We're all happy about that. But then some DLC came out, and people are not happy about it. If you want to play, if you're a fan of the Borderlands series, I do recommend checking out the game. Just maybe get it at a decent price, and don't expect too much from the DLC if you really are one of those people that tends to get all the DLC for the games they play. That's all I'm gonna talk about. Not gonna go into too much detail about it. I've seen some reviews of the actual game. I've read some articles about the DLC, and seen some videos about people complaining about the DLC. But I haven't played the game myself, nor have gone too much into detail on it. So we will move on to the next one, because the video will be long enough anyway. Now, again, I did briefly mention this earlier, and in a way, this is good if we get actual demos for the players in general. So this article from GameDeveloper.com suggests, or rather claims, that Sony are in a way forcing developers to make time trials for their games. And as we saw on that earlier article about the PlayStation Plus, this is kind of why they want the developers to offer the PlayStation Plus subscribers a portion of the game to get people to then buy the game. I think that's good by Sony. I understand it does put a bit of a strain on developers. I'm not too worried about that. I don't want to be disrespectful to developers, but as a consumer, I'm very happy with it, because that means we can try games out, play at least a couple of hours, decide whether we like it or not. It's in a way kind of like the Steam refund policy. You can play a game for a couple of hours. If you play more, you don't get the money back, but those couple of hours, you got to decide, do you like the game or do you not like the game? Now, there are very big differences between that system and what Sony is implementing here. But from a gamer experience, I'm talking about just the 2 hours, and specifically the 2 hours experience that we get to decide whether we like or not the game. So fantastic for us. Now, this is not for every game, understandably, and this is again something that Sony is doing well. Is games being sold at a certain price will be required to offer this trial out. And the reason why this is good is especially indie developers and smaller studios that are not releasing a full price game. You know, what were we up to these days? 70 quid games, is it? 60, 70 quid games on a new generation? So if you're releasing games at full price or after a certain threshold, you must do a trial. If you're releasing games that are not priced at that level, normally indie titles and smaller studios, then you don't have to do that, which is great because smaller studios and indie developers already struggle enough to get games out in most cases. Forcing them to put extra work in will not only hurt their studio, maybe even destroy the studio, but will also hurt their final product. So this is good, and I'm hoping this is not only for PlayStation Plus trials. I'm hoping developers are given the option to, yes, we do this for PlayStation Plus, but actually we're also going to put a download in a store, charge a couple of pounds for it or whatever, or even give it for free as a demo. Okay, 2 hours for free. Okay, I'll leave you to decide on that. But I hope they do give us a reasonable offer on playing those 2 hours, even if we're not part of the PlayStation Plus, especially if it requires us to be part of the PlayStation Plus premium membership to try to have access to those trials. So I'm hoping I'm making sense in all this. If we get some demos out like we used to in the old days. I remember buying magazines, PlayStation magazine, just because I had a CD in there with some demos. That was like one of the happiest, and I couldn't buy the magazine every month because I couldn't afford it, obviously. So I would buy it every 3 months, get access to a few games where I could play a level or two, and it was great. It was honestly, it was amazing. And then we've lost that in a PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4 era that had gone. We had to buy a game to find out whether it was good or not, or find out from somebody else that played the game, and hope that we shared the same views kind of thing, so that we wouldn't buy the game and get disappointed, or go to a mate's house and play the game with them and find out, or in more recent years see on the internet whether we like the game or not. Give players the option for demos. You've got the game ready, cut a portion of it. I know it's not as simple as I'm putting it, but in most cases it's not that much work. Especially in a lot of games, you just get the level out or something and allow people to try the game out. Because that will... We've seen this with, I think it was Resident Evil Village and a few other games in recent years, where people were either given like a late beta or were given a short demo, and that resulted in sales. Now, of course, this is for games that have actually been polished and have been well developed. For games that want to release in a broken state, of course, those developers and publishers do not want you to play the game before it releases, because then you know it's shit, like it happened with Battlefield 2042. Then you're not going to buy it. But if you do a good product, if you are confident that you have a good product, and you want to sell that product to as many people as you can, then, in my opinion, you got to make it accessible to as many people as you can. So the only way to do that is allow us to play the game. Allow us to play a small portion of the game. Not a portion of the game that is not indicative of the rest of the game, mind you, this is something that companies have done. You can play this bit here. I mean, the rest of the game is broken, but this bit works fine, so we'll give you access to that. And this happens a lot to reviewers. Companies do this a lot to YouTubers and that. On the embargo, this is what we give you. You cannot talk about anything past this point until the embargo is lifted, and something along those lines. So not that shit. Don't give us that shit. Give us the level of the game, 20 minutes, half an hour, 40 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, whatever, that is somewhat relevant to the rest of the game, so we get a good idea of the game. And if you've done a good job, we're going to buy the game. Chances are we will buy the game. We'll put an effort in. It's like, I really enjoyed this. I want to buy it because, I played for an hour or whatever time I played. I want to play more of it. Okay, maybe I have to save some money this month to buy it next month. But you will get the sales out of it. So this is overall, I went on a rant there, but yeah, overall I think this is good. So we'll move on to the next thing. I think these tabs have been open for so long now that I kind of have to load before I start. So talking about studios and acquiring, yes, that is still going on, and I think we'll see that going on throughout the rest of 2022 and possibly until next year, especially as console shortage on the latest generation is still ongoing. And talking of that, I think recently somebody, can't remember which was, but someone within the industry, or maybe it was even within Sony, suspects that the shortages will run into mid 2023. And we heard that last time into late 2022, and there is a fact that is going on. So I'm inclined to believe that that is true. So yeah, companies can still buy developers and studios and get the game released sometime next year, and they're not really going to lose a lot of sales in last generation because a lot of people still can't freaking get the damn things. And the latest one is the Embracer Group, I believe Swedish-owned European game publisher, whatever the hell they're called. They are buying. I mean, this is really weird. They're buying 3 studios from Square Enix, which is, I believe, all of Square Enix's Western studios. And this is Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, and Square Enix Montreal. Yeah, as we can see down here. So it's about 1,100 people within the development studios, and most interestingly, some of the IPs that now are out of Square Enix's hands because they've been so badly managed over the past few years: Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, and The Legacy of Kain. Now, Tomb Raider has actually seen some titles recently-ish, with at least definitive editions and things like that. It kind of kept the name somewhat alive. Deus Ex, since Mankind Divided, we haven't seen anything. I don't think we've even seen remasters or anything like that of any Deus Ex's games in recent years. And even worse than that is Legacy of Kain, which feels like we have not seen anything of it in decades, and probably has been decades. And we're hoping that the Embracer Group now can give these studios these titles to develop, and we can actually get some games out. Now, I don't just want Tomb Raiders and Deus Exes out. Obviously, I want good games out. But that's something that Square Enix had no interest on, as far as we can tell. They were coming to all these live services. It failed majorly for them, especially the Marvel's one and a few other screw-ups. What was the one recently? Oh god, I can't remember the name. They had another flop recently, basically. Game launched this year, not polished, possibly not given enough time, and they had another one last year, which only recently one of the lead developers, came out to speak about against. There's a lot going on that one. But yeah, quite clearly Square Enix had no interest for these titles. And recently Square Enix, as they said so themselves, they're interested in a crypto, blockchain, NFT market, which is currently crashing. And I'm quite happy to see it crashing, to be honest. Sorry for those that are losing money on it, especially, normal people. If the scammers lose money on it, I'm even happier. But I don't feel sorry for these companies, because that was a market there was nothing to be gained there, because we still haven't seen anything that NFTs and blockchain can give us to games. So, yes, Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, and Legacy of Kain now belong to the Embracer Group, which as have recently acquired Gearbox Studios. I think that was last year, or Gearbox Software, and they've got a few other big names under their belt. These games, they're multi-million. You can make so much money on these titles with just making. They don't even have to be amazing games. Just make good games. Legacy of Kain could probably do like some remakes. We'd be happy with that, or at least I would. Obviously, a new entry, that could be great to see. And all this was sold by 300 million. There is a lot of speculation why Square Enix sold it for this money. A lot of people are saying it's because of the losses that they've made in recent years and whatever, da-da-da-da. I don't know if that's true or not, but either way, selling these titles for 300 million, honestly, that fair play, Embracer Group. You've got a good one there. That is a pretty good deal. And yeah, I don't think I've got anything else to say about this. Obviously, on this article from ourstechnica.com, you've got some numbers on here. How much some of these games have sold over the years, and obviously some of the disasters like Marvel's Avengers. There's a lot of potential with these titles, a lot. And now at least we have some hope that we'll see something coming in the next few years. Yes, it will be a while, even if these studios were put to work on these games that they made famous and they know so well. It will still take time to develop these games, so we're not going to see anything anytime soon. At best, we could see a remaster in the next couple of years of some of these titles. We'll have to wait and see if we see anything like that. Move on to the next subject, which is not going to take too long. GOG returning to its good old games roots. It's nice to see. They've had some controversy lately. Obviously, they've been losing money for a while. This is a market for a niche community. Everybody likes DRM-free games, but to have recent games in a store under that DRM-free umbrella is near on impossible, and that's why GOG struggles in a marketplace. They are doing great things. They're working on some games by themselves. I don't have the example with me, but I think it was on Young Yes Project maybe, or maybe Battler Gaming that I came across as some good examples of literally games that the GOG team worked on to make it available to the public. Obviously, that needs agreement from the actual developers and things like that. There is so much work that's required, even just annual the game to bring out and re-release, because obviously there are rights holders and all sorts of things involved. And in terms of newer games, well, companies don't want DRM-free games. The big AAA publishers and they've got no interest in it. So this is a niche market for a niche community. I hope they can find a way to make this work. We know they weren't making money before, so what are they changing now that will allow them to be profitable? Don't really know. Don't see how they're gonna work that out. I hope they do make it work, because we need a GOG. We need this market, and we need it to expand. Now, some of the changes to the store is like adding the good old games tags, which involves some absolute freaking gems, really. Classics at this point, really they are. And I wish them all the best. That's all I can really say. I'm happy to see them, keep going, and I hope they can keep going for many years and find a way to at least be profitable enough that they can keep on running. And with that, we'll go on to some Bethesda Xbox news. Starfield has been delayed to next year, to 2023, as well as, what was it, the game? Read something? The two games that we were expecting to come out this year, at the moment as things stand, there is nothing to come out. Yes, Redfall. So both Starfield and Redfall have been delayed to 2023, meaning that at the moment Xbox will have no first-party games released for the whole of 2022. That does not look good for any major publisher, especially one that's got its own platform and one that has been spending billions, many billions, in acquisitions. Now, of course, as I said before, they're playing a long game. There are some issues with development of Starfield and that. There's a lot of rumors going around, so I'm sure these games are being delayed for a reason. If they were ready, Microsoft and Bethesda will certainly want the games to be released, especially in the fourth quarter, and get some money out of it. Third quarter. But, if they're delaying it, there's got to be very good reason. So we pretty much know for a fact that the games are not ready to be released, and that brings us worries. Will the games be released in just 6, 8, 9, 1 year? Is that going to be enough after all the failures that we've seen in recent years? As I mentioned before, I am skeptical. I have to be skeptical with what we've been seeing in the industry. Now, it is not all bad for Microsoft. I mean, Forza Horizon did pretty good. Forza Horizon 5, bloody hell, it's right in front of me. Halo Infinite has its problems. It's a good game. It's a really good game. Could do with more content, the multiplayer part especially. So of course there are some issues there, but we haven't got anything else that we're going to be able to talk about. But as I said, it's not all doom and gloom. Halo Infinite and Forza Horizon 5 certainly are two things that they can be kind of proud of to a certain extent, especially Horizon 5. And the fact that in recent months we've been seeing some interesting, not necessarily trends developing, but some interesting statistics. And yeah, like we see on this article from metro.co.uk, hell has frozen over. Xbox outsold PlayStation in Japan last week. Now, this is not the first time that Xbox has outsold PlayStation, and there are various things that we gotta take into consideration. For one, Nintendo Switch is still selling more than both of them. And number two, consoles are still very hard to get. Sony PlayStation 5, yeah, sure, it's near on impossible to get. The Xbox Series X S is more available. The X is still pretty much impossible to get in most places, so people will buy what's available. It's a shame this is what it is, because so back in February, the Xbox Series X and S, or was it just the S back then? I'm not sure. But it also kinda outsold PlayStation in Europe, which, Europe is a big market for Sony. I suspect the reasons there will be obviously the lack of availability or PlayStation 5s. People just cannot get them. So you'll go to the next best thing as far as the gamer is concerned. Now, the Series S and X are great games, but I am sad about one thing. The Xbox Series S, which, correct me if I'm wrong, is the equivalent of the X, but not as powerful, and is digital only. And that's the issue I have with it. I'm happy for players to go and try Xbox games, and they've got the Game Pass, great value and all that. But there are a lot of games that not be able to play it at the highest settings, like you can on a PlayStation 5 or the Series X. Even some games still vary settings within the two of them, and that's normal. But the Series S is definitely not as powerful. That is a shame, because obviously I want people to experience the games at their best. And yes, the Series S is worth the money, absolutely worth the money. There's no shadow of a doubt on that one. It is just a shame, as far as I can say, that it is not as powerful, and some games do not have the same high performance modes, for example, that you can see on the other consoles. But it is good for Microsoft. They're getting the consoles out. I mean, if you've got a console, you're gonna want to use it, right? That's why you bought it in the first place. So maybe you want to on Game Pass, maybe you'll just buy a game or two, and you get some, Halo Master Chief Collection, or you get some Gears of War. I mean, there are rumors that Gears of War is being remastered or something like that, or is something like the, well, what's the other one called out? So, which I can't remember. I don't know if they're doing like a few games put together, but it does look like it. So that's something that you'll be looking at, and that's some money is going for Microsoft, obviously. So not all bad news. Definitely happy to see that for a change, and that maybe will make Sony make some more PlayStations because people want them. And at least it kind of makes up a little bit in a sense, I guess. Not really, but makes up for Xbox not having any at the moment first-party titles releasing this year. They will have, I think most companies will have something to announce this year very soon, I suspect. There is going to be an Xbox event. There's rumors of a PlayStation State of Play event. We know there's not going to be E3, but companies will be making their own events for sure. Things will be announced. I'm curious to see what Microsoft is going to bring out on theirs, and see if maybe we will have some game coming out. Or maybe they will just purchase another studio and like, oh, and they've got the game nearly ready to go, so we're going to get that. Or maybe they'll try to grab some time exclusive, between here and the rest of the, so they've got something to sell. I don't know. My coffee is cold at this point, so we'll have to wait and see. Interesting stuff going on though. It's always kind of interesting to see that. What's not so interesting to see, but still somewhat interesting, is some things that recently have come out of Blizzard. They have these diversity meters. We call them Woko meters. Yes, I will call them that. Now, obviously, got that from some other YouTubers and posts that I read, but Woko meter is pretty accurate. where characters, I mean, specifically Overwatch is mentioned here, but that was developed, I think, by developers of Candy Crush, so King. It's a tool, a diversity tool, basically, which it's it's sad that it's not surprising. I'm not at all surprised by this, but having a tool to measure how diverse your characters are in a video game, just obviously, first thing it says that the game is not being created as the developers, as the creators of the game intended. If they have to run something like that to see, oh, does my is my character diverse enough? I mean, I don't know. I wasn't thinking about that when I was designing it, though I suspect some studios these days will have the developers actually thinking about that before they design the character. It is a very weird time. Rather than thinking whether the character was going to fit in this story that I've got in my mind for, no, okay, I got to change the character to fit the story. It's not to fit the story, to fit the ideology of the company or the ideology of Twitter, and that starts to become a problem because again, the games will not be created to the best and that they could possibly be, not as they were intended. So it just corrupts the art effectively. I'm not gonna read much about it because it's just, this, I hate this shit. So we'll move on. But I thought I'd mention it because this is disturbing, to be fair. And we're just going to get some comments on it. This is on NeoGAF forums or threads rather. Some interesting posts there. So this commenter here, what is it? Punished Miko says, crank the culture meter up to 8, and your new Overwatch character has student loan debt that is trying to pay off by being a mercenary. But he's also got a 10 inability, meaning he's quadriplegic and uses a Stephen Hawking wheelchair by blowing into a straw. I want to see this tool used in RPG character creators. So you'd imagine people will obviously take the piss out of this. WOHC says, things the world does not need. 1 to 999. This, 1000, the rest. Oh, yes, now. One, so, yes. Holy shit, MIT had nothing better to do. This meme is pretty cool here. So from Setsuna Mudo. Gaming industry goes like... No, sorry. Somebody says, this might be rock bottom, folks. And then Setsuma Mudo goes, gaming industry goes like... And then we have the old my beer gif. Happy days. And the breezy BB, I guess minority is the majority right now. A wonderful age we are living in. Now, personally, I don't have anything against minorities, of course, but I see his point. When you're trying to appeal to 1%, 2%, or whatever the population, then obviously you're going to piss off the rest. And it is going to hurt you in sales. And Overwatch is one that is, this is not specifically about Overwatch, it's obviously Blizzard. But they do have the Overwatch title. Overwatch 2 just recently had a beta, which did not impress anybody, at least nobody that I've seen, because the game is in a way kind of a DLC of the previous Overwatch. The maps have different colors, something. It's now night instead of day, or evening instead of morning. Yeah, that has not been well received. So yeah, Blizzard is in trouble. They gotta start changing some things. And yeah, somebody says there, they don't care. That one. There was another funny one that I can't. Let's see here. It was like this. I don't know. Oh yeah, this comment from Kikorin, and this is exactly how I feel. What? Can't decide if this is more hilarious or disturbing. And yes, I share that sentiment. Because that is exactly how I feel. Yeah, just keep in mind that you have Game Pass sub, you are funding them. Well, yes, okay, they've been acquired by Microsoft. So I've got games with gold that I don't even get anything of these days. other than keeping access to all the games that were on the Games with Gold, because I'd want to go to the Game Pass because that's more money than I can afford. That's the reason why I keep the gold. But yes, I'm not gonna stop supporting them just because a couple of their studios are shitheads or being run by shitheads. So yeah, I see your point, but things don't work like that, sadly. And there's more. Just check out the internet, and some of the videos made of this on YouTube. Obviously, comment sections are gold mines. So definitely worth checking out. It is sad. It is funny, but it is sad that this is where we are this day and age. And we move on to, well, approaching the end of the video ish. So, article from Game Informer, and just literally, just gonna, not literally, just gonna touch on some of the games that have been released or are scheduled to be released this year. Just talk some crap like I've been talking throughout this video, and it's a good game it's a good year for games on paper, but we have had quite a few titles already pushed to 2023. Various reasons. Yes, development time has been affected by pandemics. Yes, maybe getting access to some things has become more expensive or more troublesome due to not just the pandemic, but due to disruption in the delivery chain and all sorts of things that we've had over the past couple of years. Plus, companies hopefully seeing that you can't release a broken game, it is really going to hurt your bottom line, which is all that most companies care about, especially corporations, is the bottom line, it's the money. And I expect we will see more delays till next year. Again, we should see a lot in the coming weeks, the next 2 to 3 months, even in the next. There's a lot going on in June and July. With video game conferences and shows, internet live streams, and all sorts of things that these companies will do, kind of make up for not doing E3, and also because these companies, some of them don't want to do E3, they want to do their own show. So we will know a lot. I'm expecting more delays. Hopefully we won't see too many of them, because we would like some more nice games to come out. We've had Forbidden West on Sony, great game. But people aren't going to play it for the whole year. We obviously had Elden Ring still going strong, but we do need other titles. I'm not going to mention obviously all titles, the ones that I feel worth mentioning. And sorry if I hurt anybody's feelings. God of War was released on PC back early in the year. I mentioned that in previous videos. That was well received. It was again another good port from Sony to PC. So I hope they keep that up, because they need that. If they screw up a port of a game, that is going to hurt them long term with a PC player base, because they'll be very skeptical of getting their future ports. So far they've released 2 or 3 games on PC, and their ports have been good. I hope they keep that up. One of the games early in the year that a lot of people were playing because it's a free-to-play was Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. I don't know if this game is still going well. There has been some recent updates that players didn't like, so I don't know how good it's doing, but it was a free-to-play game, card-type thing game. Not my type, but I kind of wanted to try it, but to try and build a good deck of cards. I don't have the patience for that, nor the time. And at the time I didn't have Windows 10 either, so I ended up skipping it. But that was something decent that we've seen from Konami. When was the last time we said that? Honestly, don't know. Several memories ago. That's what I'm going to go with. Rainbow Six Extraction. I don't even remember anything about that, so I don't know what the hell happened with that. Anything else worth earlier on in a not Pokemon Legends. You always get Pokemon games coming on Switch. Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection for the PlayStation 5. There was something worth mentioning it. And then on February we had a lot going on in February, really. Life is Strange Remastered Collection. It was good to see. Then Yu-Gi-Oh! Finally released on mobile, iOS and Android, so I'm sure they're making good money out of that. Konami is probably be very happy. Just hope they don't destroy the game for the sake of making money. I know early on there was some balance between the pay-to-win and the free-to-play. Obviously, yes, if it's pay-to-win, it's pay-to-win, I get that. But free-to-play players were quite happy playing the game. Were building platinum decks or whatever, something along those lines. Um, until later updates, then I start to see some complaints. It's been quiet since, and I barely see anybody on my Discord playing it. Yeah, it's just been quiet. A game definitely worth mentioning will be Dying Light 2 Stay Human. So that was good to see. Can't remember the reviews on it. I think there were some issues. So PlayStation 5, and it released on pretty much all generations. So that's good to see on Nintendo Switch, but can't be surprised about that. Sifu is a game that I was interested on because it looked, unique really in the way they were doing things. I've seen a few PlayStation streams. I haven't seen any PC gameplay, I don't think. This is a game for people who are huge fans of difficult games, fans of mastering a game and failing, repeating, just making it perfect. This is more than likely a game they should absolutely try. This is a game me personally will never touch because I just can't keep repeating and going back and trying and no. But I like seeing some gameplay of it. I just could not play it. Yeah, great concept, amazing game. Absolutely, they deserve shit ton of kudos for that. Crossfire X, this one is worth mentioning it, but not for good reasons. This was a bit of a crappy title. Multiplayer and single player developed by different people. This game was brought from the East. I don't know if it was Grey or not. It was like an attempt at making something like Counter-Strike, but for console. I actually downloaded it, I believe. I haven't played it though, because to be honest, I never really turned my Xbox on. I barely have time to play Infinite, 1 or 2 games every few months. So that's what I've done on Infinite. So yeah, Crossfire X is not done well. There's been a lot of complaints, reviews were not kind. Would be nice if they could kind of fix that up. That'd be good. That's why I'm downloading it. I'm hoping that in a few months, at least some bits have been ironed out, and I can give it a shot. Maybe something that Xbox could work on. Have some major updates. If you don't have first-party releases, maybe you could at least bring some major updates to some of your titles, like Halo Infinite multiplayer, even some single player. We're still waiting for co-op on a single player. I'm waiting for it because then I'll be considering buying it, the single player experience, so I can play it with my mate co-op. And Crossfire X, another one that could maybe get a major overhaul or something like that. I don't know if that's possible, if they've got the resources and time to do it, but that's something that would ease the pain of not having first-party title releases. Anything else that Kingdom Hearts, all these titles been going on for many years. I've never played any of them, loved by so many people. So all these titles on a Switch, great additions for the Switch. Personally, I think these titles, I haven't looked at the sales figures, but these games should do amazing on the Switch. So very happy to see those releases there. Lost Ark obviously was released on February 11 on PC. I couldn't get this game at the time because I didn't have yet Windows 10. I was having some issues trying to upgrade to. There's a lot. It's a pay-to-win game. It's a free-to-play. The devs got to make money somewhere. You've got hours and hours of free content. It is definitely worth playing. You will hit a wall at some point trying to get better equipment and that. You will struggle with that. But to be honest, get the game, play for free. If you end up buying some cosmetics or just don't buy stuff for upgrade. If there's something that you like and you want to support the developers a little bit, I mean, after all, the game is free to play and you got a shit ton of content, then fair enough. But don't go into it hoping to get too competitive because you will struggle, sadly. But after all, in the end, it is still a good game. It is still worth playing. Oddworld Stranger's Wrath HD, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. I think I checked something out. I like the Oddworld games. I've only played a couple of them over the years, several years apart, in fact. Definitely worth playing. I did check this out. I can't remember much about it. And the CyberPunk 2077 PlayStation 5 and Xbox X Series X and S release. I thought this had been delayed, but it says red review, so I guess it was released. Missed that. Destiny Warriors 9 Empires. a long-standing franchise of hack and slash games, but they got to rethink their strategy. This game was not well received, a lot of complaints, many issues, so do check that out before you purchase the game. Some of their older titles are far better, far more polished. Maybe they gotta stop releasing it, maybe make something else, maybe do major changes. I don't know, it gets to a point where, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, come on guys, gotta change things. Great games, I like hack and slash games, they're just great fun. But there's a limit to how many games you can release with the same characters, with the same dynamic sort of thing. For me personally, and if your game then is not polished upon release, yeah, you're gonna lose out, and they definitely did. People were not happy, reviewers were not kind. Assassin's Creed the ASUS collection for the Switch. When I saw this announced, I was quite happy, and I'm happy that the Switch have that. I think there was a game that was expecting to be there. No, they were all there. Yeah, yes, I remember checking that out. I think I'm losing my memory here. I did check this collection out. Either way, it's a good collection altogether. I can't remember if it had the games I was expecting on it, but maybe it did. I mean, it's called the ASUS collection, so it should have all the the games where ASUS is on. So yeah, great for the Switch again. Great title there. King of Fighters 15. Total War. God, I cannot say that. Total War Warhammer 3, released on PC, and Horizon Forbidden West, big title, one of the big titles for Sony this year. Not a great review, not a great release date, because as we'll see. We'll see further down why. I mean, you can say now Elden Ring was released this month, so a lot of people, 3 days apart, a lot of people were waiting for Elden Ring. But I'm pretty sure it still sold very well. I mean, it is a game confined to the PlayStation ecosystem, so it is never really compete with Elden Ring. Let's be honest. Elden Ring was on multiple platforms, and I'm sure Forbidden West is still making money for Sony, no doubt about that. And it is a great game. Even as far as yesterday, okay, I'm recording this on the 21st of May. I don't know when it's going to be out. But yesterday I was checking a video of one of the levels. Can't remember what it was called, but it's like these big elephant monsters, and somebody was doing it on hard mode without getting hit. I think 6 minutes something view. And sorry for the YouTuber, I don't remember your channel. But it was amazing. It looked absolutely amazing. The game looks gorgeous. I've seen some background footage on what's his name as well. I should really do scripts for the videos, but hey, this is how I do things. It's a Gundam, yes. Some of the videos that is done recently adds Forbidden West on the background. Really cool stuff. Really like it. So it is an amazing game. Definitely worth playing if you are on a PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 5 ideally, if you have managed to be blessed with one. Destiny 2, The Witch Queen expansion. Obviously, Destiny 2, great game. I've spoken about it earlier. I've got my issues with it, but as I said earlier, it is still an amazing game. Really great game, and The Witch Queen was received well, I believe. So awesome to see that, and the game's still going strong. Any of these titles that obviously Marth is Dead is here, and we know this title. If you're going to play it, do not play it on PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4. That's what I'm going to say, because that is not the game that the creators and the developers wanted out. Don't really know any of these games, no offense. Elden Ring, this obviously the big one, so released on February 25th. It's still selling a lot. Grid Legends, I am a fan-ish of the Grid games. Obviously arcade racing. Good fun. Obviously, if you want a simulator, then that's not the kind of game you're going to go for. If you want to have fun racing, you're going to have fun with Grid. I haven't checked out Legends specifically, so I can't really recommend or otherwise. But previous Grid titles have been good. Then March, obviously we had Gran Turismo 7, and we covered that. Know how that went. Oh, there we go. This is one of the games I was trying to remember earlier. Babylon's Fall. that is a Square Enix title release, and that's bad. Yeah, that's a bad game. I recommend avoiding it unless they come out with some with an overhaul or something like that. You'll see the reviews and why it is so bad. Shadow Warrior 3 was out. I recall something about that, but yeah, not really. Probably worth checking out. I've checked it out. I just can't remember it. Anything else here that I paid attention to? WWE 2K22, that looked kind of interesting, but obviously these games, year after year after year, I start having an issue with them. The game standalone, it's fine. It's a great game. You like wrestling, like fighting. It's cool. Looks great. If you've been playing it for several years, then it's another title. It's all I'm gonna say. I wish these games did differently, but I'll move on, or I'm gonna go into another rant. Grand Theft Auto 5, of course, released. So yeah, it released March 15 for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S. Yay! The Cruel King, no idea. Paradise Killer, no idea. Again, I mean, no disrespect to these games, it's just I don't have time to check all the games coming out. Persona 4 Arena Ultimax. Persona games, always worth checking out. Shredders, no idea what that is. Is that Shredders from like the Turtles? No, that would be Shredder. Anyway, Kraken Academy, no idea any of these names. Ghostwire Tokyo, interesting game, cool concept. It didn't come out as well as we had hoped when at the trailers and game announcements and that. It is still an interesting title and something that I think players should check out. Check some reviews first for yourself. Maybe wait until the price drops. But it's worth. Again, this is PlayStation 5 and PC, but I think PC is only on Epic Games, which I think we'll get to that in a bit. So yeah, that was a game that I was interested to see more of, and I still want to see more of. I haven't had the chance to check much gameplay of it. I've seen some, but not as much as I like. And Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, really good game. We had a segment earlier on specifically about that. Crusader Kings 3. If you're a fan of the franchise, this is a must get. Looks pretty cool. I'm not a fan of this type of games, but even I like what I see there. WRC 10 released on Switch. Nice to see. I'm assuming there's World Rally Championship. It's nice to see that being released on a Switch. Death Stranding Director's Cut on PC, March 30th. How did I miss that? Did I miss that? Don't know. Tropico 6. These games have been going on for a while. I think I've got Tropico 4, and I haven't even played it. Is it 4? Oh, I don't know. Actually, I can't read it from here. On Xbox One, I haven't played it. This one, obviously, PlayStation 5 and Series X and S. And then April, did we have much worth talking? Some Lego Star Wars there. Godfall Ultimate Edition. Yeah, it's still not great. Let's just leave it at that. eFootball 2022. This is a shitstorm. Yeah, this was a shame. I'm not sure if Konami is gonna fix this game in any way that makes it worthwhile. But how it came out at release, it's not even an early access. Really, you can't. Okay, alpha maybe too much. But yeah, early access it doesn't fit that game either. So that game should not have been released like that. I don't know what they're thinking. I had some hopes, but I kind of knew those hopes were going to be squashed. But yeah, I still had some hopes that was going to be okay because I don't want to play FIFA. I don't want to, EA have ruined the FIFA that I liked. So I'm hoping for something else that comes out of there. Talking about FIFA, I'm going to go slightly off rail or off trial here. FIFA will be changing their games. Will EA Sports will change their FIFA games. They will no longer be called FIFA as of next edition. Is it 2023? I think already will be called EA Football or something like that, because they couldn't agree between FIFA and EA how much money do these freaking billion-dollar corporations. They couldn't agree on numbers. Okay, I don't take either side. I can see reasons from both sides, but I like either side as much as I like either side. God, that makes no sense, but you get what I'm saying. So they can screw each other. I just hope somebody else comes out and does a nice football game. But that's going to take years. Sadly, EA have got, they've got the recipe right. They've had a good game for years. It's just the monetization side of the game that I didn't like. But the game itself, I don't see anyone bringing a FIFA game, a football game like that anytime soon. I hope I get proven wrong, but it's just, I don't see it happening. Anything else? More Star Wars. Oh no, Star Wars: The Force Unleashed on the Switch. That is cool. I remember when this came. God, I think it was WWE Here Comes the Pain that it had the leaflet inside with Star Wars: The Force Unleashed. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. And it's now being released on the Switch all these years later. God, that is weird. But it's nice to see. It's good to see that. I can't remember if it was a good game or not. I'll be honest with you. But I'm always happy to see more titles on the Switch. I just wish we had a stronger version of the Switch. I will buy that. I will buy that over the PlayStation 5. But morons. Well, not morons, they're still making money. They're still selling. The OLED version is selling a lot, and below that you have the old Switch still selling a lot, as we saw earlier when we were talking about the sales of Xbox in Japan. Actually, I don't know if I went as far down on the graph, but yeah, you've got Nintendo Switch OLED in Japan on that specific week they were looking at, followed by the normal Nintendo Switch, and then Xbox Series S, and then PlayStation. So yeah, it's selling a shit ton. So why? Nintendo has recently talked something about possible versions in that, but not really. They're just gonna have one of these internet events soon. Well, hopefully we could see some announcements about games. Definitely not expecting anything about Switch, but they have started talking about that at some point. They will obviously need to release a new hardware, and yeah, they were talking about trying not to mess up like they have in previous. In previous consoles where people couldn't really play the games on the next one, and there was too much of a difference and whatever. It's just not a lot was said on that interview, but obviously they got to be thinking about it because the Switch is not going to last forever. But we'll have to wait and see when we get something new. Metal Hellsing sounds interesting, but I haven't seen anything of it, so can't really comment. Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt. What the hell is this? Oh, I need to check that out. I know there's recently been a Vampire the Masquerade out, that's the Swan Song one, which looks interesting. Not an amazing game, but it may be worth a play when the money is right. And yeah, I need to check that out. Other than that, in May, what is this? Sifu Vengeance Edition. Okay, so a special edition of the Sifu game, I guess. And what else can we expect? This Dungeon Defenders Awakened. Trek to Yomi, PlayStation 5. I believe this released a couple of weeks ago. Yep. That is a game that I like. And I hope I get to play that one day. So fingers crossed. It's on all platforms, so whatever I can see it for a good price. Among Us Ejected Edition. Eiyuden Chronicle Rising. Salt and Sacrifice. Evil Dead the game, and yeah, Vampire the Masquerade Swan Song, which was released a couple of days ago as of the recording of this video. And then coming out, we have Ni no Kuni Cross Worlds coming out for PC, iOS, and on Android. That is weird. Anyway, I do have a Ni no Kuni game, the PlayStation 3 one, for what is called White Witch or something. That I want to play soon-ish. Hopefully before the end of the summer I'll start playing that game. And we've got Sniper Elite 5. It's been a great game for years if you're into the type of game. I haven't tried. I think I own at least one of the titles, but I never got around to play it. And we're going to leave it at that, and we'll cover future releases on future videos. Okay, I'm gonna try and check what this Ni no Kuni game is, and obviously that Vampire the Masquerade game. As I said, I do know of this Swan Song. I'm quite interested in the way they design it. The game starts off quite a bit slow, but it is. I don't know. I just like it. Maybe it's because I recently finished playing a slow-paced game, the LA Noir, and this just moving around, kind of investigating things. I kind of like that. There are a few technical issues with the game. I think the game could have done, personally, the game could have done with bigger budget and a little bit more development time, I think. Um, but it's still worth a play once it comes for the right price. At least for me, I'm quite interested in that. I guess there was something about this type of games that I didn't really know until I experienced LA Noir, which was a great game as of itself, but it certainly brought this kind of RPG investigation type of style into a more favorable type of game in my mind. And finishing off PlayStation Plus videos for May, and I know we're coming to the end of the month, and they finally updated the page, and actually you can see here, so PlayStation Plus Essential, and the three different tiers that we now have on PlayStation. I nearly jumped to this page earlier on when we were talking about PlayStation, so sorry to jump about, but I thought I'm just going to leave it as it is and cover it at the end, because to be honest, at the time I didn't know this was here, and then I found out, and whatever. So PlayStation Plus Essential, and a quick summarize that I've got here, which is great for people that are willing to upgrade or to just join the PlayStation Plus memberships. So Essential, enhance your PlayStation experience with core features, including online multiplayer, access to PS4 and one PS5 game to download every month, exclusive discounts, and more. So pretty much what we have now, right? Two PS4 and one PS5. A lot of the PS4 titles that you release, they're PS4/PS5, so that's okay, it's cool. In fact, most of them are. PlayStation Plus Extra, enjoy all PlayStation Plus essential benefits and explore a world of incredible gaming experiences with the game catalog featuring hundreds of downloadable PS4 and PS5 games. And this one, so the other one, the previous one I didn't mention the price because it's staying the same, at least for now. The Plus Extra is I'm just going to say the yearly price because it's always the cheapest way to go, for £83.99 per each 12 months. And the PlayStation Plus Premium, get all benefits from the other plans, time-limited game trials, classic PlayStation games from the Classics catalog, and cloud streaming to play the hundreds of games from each catalog without waiting for downloads. Yeah, except the PlayStation 3 ones, right? Because you've got to stream. You're not waiting for you're not technically not waiting for a download because you can't download the damn thing. Anyway, I'm going off on a rant again. You do have a little asterisk there and cloud streaming because this is not available in all countries, and that's definitely one of the things that the asterisk is there for, and probably some other things as well, as well. Yeah, high speed megabytes. Yeah, so internet speed, and yeah, nothing there. You've got it explained on there. And this one is going far and easy £99 a year, which is not bad. It's not bad. Yeah, it's okay. Classics catalog, I wish this wasn't just locked on a premium one. I'm a bit disappointed about that. I don't see that being a selling point for the premium, but maybe I'm wrong. Because some people might be like me, yes, I want access to the Classics catalog, but I don't want to pay premium. And some people might be like, yeah, I want the Classics catalog, I will go for premium. So perhaps, yeah, it might be a selling point for some people. For me, sadly, Sony, it is not. And what we have this month, we've got FIFA 2022, which I need to grab. Tribes Midgard. This is a very interesting game. I've seen something about this. I'd like to try it. Obviously, I haven't got the time, but I will be grabbing it. And Curse of the Dead Gods. Never heard of, so check it out yourselves and see if you like it or not. But I do plan on getting them, and I will get them today before I forget. On Xbox, as usual, Xbox is really pushing to have the games with gold feature finished, so they're offering games. I don't want to be mean to these games. A lot of these games are great indie games, fantastic games, but they're definitely not offering AAA titles with the games with gold anymore. They haven't made that clear in writing as far as I know, but they have made it clear with their offerings for several months now. Since last year this has been the case. I have grabbed quite a few indie titles which I hope I get to play one day. I know I won't, but I hope I can. Yeah, let's move on to the next one. Nothing else to talk about here. And the Epic's Game Store, no, I don't use the Epic Store. I don't care about it. But like, if you just care about games, then Borderlands 3 is for free until May 26th. So depending when you're seeing this video, it might be already gone. But this is a good deal, and God knows what's coming out next. Then we do have some discounts here as well. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is on 20% off. Ghostwire Tokyo is on 34% discount off. Far Cry 6 Standard Edition is going for an almost reasonable price, 50% off. Final Fantasy VII Remake. Why is that so expensive to start with? What? Have they launched a second chapter or something that I don't know of? Because otherwise it's too expensive. Anyway. So check that out. Obviously it's great game, but I thought there was only one chapter out. Maybe I'm wrong. I am losing my mind anyway. Dying Light 2 Stay Human at a mere 10% discount off, and Sifu at also just a mere 10% off. Some of these games we did actually talk about earlier in the video. Anyway, it has been a long video. Thank you all for watching. Anybody make it this far, please do leave a like and do sub to the channel if you want more content like this, because sometimes I just don't know what I'm going to record, and it had been a while since I had done one of these game stuff videos, so this is a very long one. I'm not going to take any more of your time. See you all, stay safe, and we will see you on the next one.